Welcome into Other People's Shoes, the podcast where listeners get to step into the lives of others and see the world through their shoes. Your host, Neil Matthews, is a seasoned interviewer who has a natural talent for empathizing with his guests and drawing out their unique perspectives. Through a combination of storytelling and insightful questioning, Other People's Shoes explores the lives of a diverse range of guests, from everyday people to celebrities and thought leaders. With a warm and welcoming style, Neil creates a safe and supportive space for his guests to share their stories, while also challenging listeners to broaden their perspective and think more deeply about the world around them. So tune in to Other People's Shoes with Neil Matthews and get ready to step into other people's shoes.
Hey, come take a walk with me, not like you used to do something different and put yourself in other people's shoes. Open up your mind and open up your eyes and change your direction. Your perspective.
Welcome into Other People's Shoes. As you know, I am your host, Neil Matthews. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really excited that you've chosen to hit play today. Really excited that you've decided to hang out with us for the last 250 some odd episodes. Okay, it's not some odd, it's 250 exactly. As of this moment right now. I know some fanfare, some streamers, maybe a piñata, maybe some champagne. Okay, champagne is gross. Ugh. No, we don't want that. Maybe just imagine for a second just opening some Kirkland cold brew and like dumping it over my head because I really love cold brew. And I feel like being doused in cold brew coffee seems very appropriate. For the late nights, the early mornings, caffeine seems way better than champagne. Okay, I digress. For 250, I thought, who on earth could we book to get 250 episodes? So I thought, I went back to research. I went back into my headspace. I got quiet. I got still. And I thought, why not bring back three of my favorite friends? Now, listen, I feel like every week we get into a guest's shoes. We introduce you to a new guest, maybe an author, a speaker, a podcaster, a Joe Public kind of person. These three people, and again, there could be more than three, and there really are more than three, but I kind of had to narrow it down just for the space and the editing process and all of that. I narrowed it down to three people that I feel like played a very integral role into the development, not only of me as a podcaster, but me as a show. And I really think they have brought added value. In fact, they're past guests. What better way to bring back some great voices, some great contributors to the show, not only to me personally, to the show itself. Here are my three that I picked. So first, we got to jump on a plane because we got to go to Texas because we had a lot of folks come out of Texas. In fact, the first person I'm going to introduce you to, I believe, is very cerebral. I put him on the level of like a Professor Xavier from like the X-Men for those comic book fans out there. Lately, I would even put him on the level of this guy that I've really been following a lot, and I think people in Canada know him pretty well, Jordan Peterson. Now listen, it's not Jordan Peterson. I wish that would have been amazing. On that level, as far as his intellect, his genius, it's just super brilliant in my mind. It's my good friend, Sean McCoy. Sean, how are you today?
Hey, brother, how are you? And the feeling's mutual, man. I really appreciate the time, and I love you.
Likewise. All right. Now that we picked up Sean, we got to just jump on another plane, and we're going to fly out to Alexandria, which is in Virginia, in case you're wondering. It's kind of a suburb of that kind of D.C. area. Again, this friend here, I think no matter where she goes, no matter what she does, in fact, Outlook is probably updating her every day on how to look out for joy. Hello, Outlook should be reminding us to look out for joy. It's my good friend, Adria. Adria, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I even have the Joybox journal kind of on camera next to the RAM. It's way in the back, but it is there, and I put it there specifically, not just for today, but it's been there ever since.
Share the joke that you shared on my phone message the other day.
Oh, no. That was not scripted, though.
But that was hilarious.
What did I say? Oh, yes. Oh, something about Outlook? Yeah. Was that the joke? Okay. So I asked Adria when we were kind of coordinating and getting everybody lined out to do this. As I said to her, I said, hey, Adria, do you ever, or something to the effect of, does Outlook remind you to go out and look for joy?
Right.
And I thought it was kind of corny or something to that effect. I don't know. It's probably not as cool as it should be.
Does it actually tell you where to go to look for joy?
Oh, yes. Yeah, does Outlook actually tell you where to go look? See, that's why. It was spontaneous. It was sometimes the way my brain works. Third guest, Jody and I, and well, really the three of us met in this crazy group called Rocket, which is another story all in itself. Jody, the voice of an angel. She's been compared to Whitney Houston. I mean, Celine Dion's got nothing on her. Bette Midler, hello, you can't even compare. She should have been on The Voice had they had that around in her age group. Welcome, my good friend from Cary, North Carolina, where I want to be. Sadly, I'm not. She is in the backyard of Chapel Hill. My good friend Jody. Jody, how are you today?
Better get out.
We are a new disease that has come out.
Oh, please, Adria, tell us about the new disease.
Well, during the pandemic is when we all kind of connected. It was a time that all of us needed a good laugh. So we actually put the first letters of each of our names together. And what did we come up with, Neil?
You're going to make me say it. Great. So I think it spells Snaj. So that is Sean, Neil, Adria, and Jody. Spells Snaj. To me, we were saying this in the green room, and I'll say it publicly. It sounds like a venereal disease. And if you stay tuned, you can get your own coupon from Walgreens to clear that up, because there's not a booster or vaccine around that can really clear that.
You'll need it after listening to this episode.
Truly. Guys, I want to say
I know
this.
exactly what the solution is.
What is the solution?
Snaj stands for scripture. I can't come up with an N, so I'll leave it up to you guys. Acceptance in Jesus. See, I love
Needed.
that. Needing. Okay, there you go.
Because I'm needy.
Needy? Needy of what?
Needed. We'll work on that. Jody's been in a cocoon, so we're not sure what's happening still.
We can't get together.
This is why we can't get together. Bad things happen. Guys, let me say this publicly. I really do. I really appreciate the three of you. I think you all bring a different facet and have brought a different facet to my life. And not only to my life, but the show's life. And really, I don't think I'm here at 250 without the three of you in some form or fashion. And I really am grateful for you all in your own little way. I mean, it's like the cartoon Captain Planet. Earth, wind, fire. By our powers combined, we are podcasters. I don't know. I made that up on the spot. That's dangerous.
Well, Neil, I'll step in because you're talking too much. What I want to share from what you're saying, that your presence, along with Adria and Sean, even though we've all kind of lost touch, I love that we can just lose touch for a few months, step back right in, and just pick up where we left off. And your presence and perseverance in podcasting, it takes consistency, and you have absolutely stood on that pillar of consistency. And I applaud you, brother, because it is a lot of work. And you are your one-man machine. You do it all. You're the talent, got people with you. At the end of the day, it's all on you. And you keep it rolling. You have a heart for God and a heart for stories. It's an honor to be here, to be able to share in that glorification of God, perseverance that pays off.
Yeah, thank you, Jody.
Double down on that as far as that goes, Neil. I mean, all of us love the idea of podcasting. We love the idea of listening. We love the idea of being on it. We love the idea of hosting it. I think we have a message and we have a heart for it. And we know, like Jody was saying, how hard it is on that end of it. You can get wrapped up in all kinds of stuff. We get out in the world and we get out into that. We're numbers and big numbers and money and people and all the rest of stuff. What we think is successful, especially in our day and age and how we look at things in our culture. What I think Jody's saying and I think Adria would definitely agree is even the undercurrent of just the title of it, to get somebody to try to say for a moment, to walk in somebody else's shoes, which is the embodiment of the gospel, which is the embodiment of the faith that we have around being empathetic towards somebody and loving them for who they are and where they are at that moment, regardless of what's there, is really the essence of what we hope to do on a daily and in different ways. And it is the core element of your show. Getting to see the different seasons, the creativity side of it, a chance to express those things and bring those things together so that a listener can walk away and go, should I maybe think of things a little bit differently? It's a lesson that you just can't put a price tag on. Yes, congratulations on this 250. Heck of a thing to accomplish in the podcasting world, regardless of who you are. So relishing it, man. As much as you're saying nice things about us, push it back and say good job.
Oh, I feel the love.
And Jody's right. It reminds me about my military friends. I haven't talked to my friends in 4 or 5 years. One time, and it's just, you just pick up where you left off.
I just think that's a sign of a great friendship. Some of us have met in real life. Some of us haven't. Some of us may be soon meeting in real life. Well, with that being said, let's get down to what we get down with, and that's this. We'll start with, should we start with Sean? Sean, what style of shoe do you like to wear these days? Has it changed any, or are we rocking some new kicks?
It has. So, like you, I have a pickleball obsession now and have become certifiable when it comes to this particular sport. Played for 3 hours this morning. And my current shoe is what they call a Tyrol, Tyrol. And it is specifically made for pickleball. It's like this really strong heel in the back to keep your foot from like when you go back and forth from doing like lateral movement. It has this arch that goes in the bottom of your foot that helps not only from an airway, but from a support standpoint. And then the actual grip of the shoe is actually designed for you to, when you press off and you push off, the grip literally the sole comes up over front part of the toe on the left-hand side on the inside part of each shoe. And so that is my current favorite shoe in the world because it means I'm heading to the court to play.
Adria, tell us what style of shoe are you rocking these days?
Well, I wouldn't say rocking. Because I'm old compared to all of y'all. So I wear these Crocs right now. So I have Crocs that I wear in the house only. Then I have Crocs that I can go out in at the pool, get around in these days. And then if I'm going out to the store or whatever, I put on some tennis shoes for good support. But I need to check those out, Sean, those shoes that you were talking about. Those might help this old lady.
The thing about it is it's all about the support relative to movement. Running shoes, they're made to go forward, and that's it. So they're not made to go side to side, backwards, all the rest of that stuff. And so it's just about supporting your foot. And a friend of mine was like, man, these seem kind of expensive. And I don't put money on things unless it's usually a mattress or shoes because of the long term and the impact. I had these other shoes I talked about when I was on Neil's pod last, and they were actually too flat. They were too light, causing me knee issues. And as soon as I changed this other shoe, it stopped. So I mean, there's something behind it. If you're gonna spend money on something, spend it on shoes.
Well, I'm glad I didn't go out and buy those. I get emails from them all the time. Zero or something like that.
Zero with an X.
Zero with an X.
Yeah.
X0. And I keep getting emails from them, and I haven't pulled the trigger on them. So now you're saying don't pull the trigger on them. Get these instead.
Yeah, because the Zero shoes are much more of a kind of like a trail. They're multi-purpose. I also have extremely flat feet. My friends in the Navy used to say that my feet weren't flat; they were tired. It's like a pancake. Like I have no arch. I didn't even know arches existed. I see people and go, "What's wrong with your foot?" And then I realized later that you're actually supposed to have one.
Yeah, you are supposed to have one.
Yeah, I don't have one, like at all.
So Jody, help us. What style of shoe are you rocking these days?
So I'm the most south of all of y'all. I had to throw that in. It's so freaking hot, but it's hot. So it's been an open toe something. I'm all about comfort. I do love the sneaker. I've never been an athlete, but I've always been an athletic supporter. Love sneakers. I love a cute sneaker. I've been doing some flying, just rocking it with a cute white. I refuse to wear two colors, light blue, white. Those two colors I will not put on.
I mean, that's fine. One day. You think about the fact of you're only, what comes to mind for you? We'll start with Sean.
First thing that kind of came to mind was you're only as young as you feel. That's what came to my mind. As a result of just a big change, like in my life in the last probably 5 to 10 years around just, you kind of joked earlier about Jody's age. I wouldn't want to be any younger than I am. I'm looking forward to being older. You're only as young as you feel. That's what I would say.
All right. And how about for you, Adria? When you think about that, you're only what?
I was looking in the version, I usually do NIV. I bought me a new purple Bible, and it's the Christian Standard Bible. I was reading it, and it says, you're just a youth instead of you're just a youth. I thought, wow, I don't think it's good when people say, well, I'm just you fill in the blank. I think that we devalue ourselves when we say, I'm just a bookkeeper or an accountant or an author or a speaker or a podcaster. You're not just. You actually have put a lot of effort and work into that. Even if you are young people still do amazing things, just like old people do. Recently, with some new work that I've been taking on, I have told people, I said, you know what? You can't say that you're ever too old to do something. If God wants you to participate in something, he's going to open up the doors. And it may not look like what you want it to look like. I always tend to go through the back door whenever I go in the route I should go in, or other people say you should go in. And so I always have to laugh. If God wants you to do something, it doesn't matter what your age is. I think it's wise to not say you're only or you're just. I think it's good to keep that word out of your conversation.
To Adria's point, there's limitations we put on things, or we minimize all this stuff. You hear Jesus quoted as saying, be like yeast. It's part of that. It is this simple, fundamental, it's not glorious. Jesus, like in terms of appearance, wasn't a dominating figure. He wasn't tall and handsome. He wasn't, not to say that Jesus wasn't. I'm just saying that it's not how it's portrayed. Portrayed as just a man, just a person, just a human on here. And that it's not, didn't do anything glorious, if you will, outside of the ultimate. So in terms like what we consider from a materialistic standpoint, things that we should be part of, of and what we feel like is successful and where we go to school and what we have and all this material stuff. I think it rings true with that sentiment a lot, what she's saying.
It becomes this insecurity that society likes to put on us. We're never good enough, imposter syndrome, social media influence, that we're not all the things that the world tells us. You're only A, B, and C. I personally have found the deeper I walk with the Lord, and my identity is in Christ. So there is no more you're only, it happens, the enemy steps in all the time. You're only this, so this means that's never going to happen. And yet I still believe that in the economy of God, when we're believers and we're committed to an obedient walk with him, he can do abundantly more than I could ever imagine. Your onlys are just what the world is trying to tell us. It's happenstance. It doesn't even make any sense, really. That's a muscle I've had to learn to flex in this past season of my life, to realize that I'm only Jody in love with Jesus Christ, whatever that looks like in God's economy. The rest of the people can just whatever.
The only thing that I do want to add to that for Neil, North Carolina is not the only. I'm sorry. I had to come up with that and say that.
I love it.
Adrian, you can easily leave this call. Just saying, I could click a button and you could be gone. Looking back at who we've had already on our past seasons, it seems to be an underlining theme for podcast guesting that I get. When I get pitched for a show or potential guest, it seems to me they're really trying to emphasize the things that they've accomplished. Like they've written this amazing book, or they've done this, or they've accomplished this, or they've walked through this heartache or this valley of the shadow of death. Get them on, and I immediately ask them kind of this sort of roundabout question is, are you only this or are you more than that? Undoubtedly, they will say, well, yeah, I'm more than that. Well, then how are you more than that? How has life made you more than that? And when I ask that question sort of again in a roundabout sort of way, maybe not packaged exactly like that, undoubtedly somebody gets stuck and they say, well, somewhere somebody has told me that I'm this. Kind of almost get frustrated by it. Where does somebody get the God-given right to come along and tell another individual you're only ever going to be this?
That's not a God-given right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
That the human capacity can say, and they can feel they own it. God-given right is from God. And that may not be a wise person. That may not be a centered person in Christ. We have to build the mental exercise of realizing, okay, I can take that with good faith. I can listen to what you're saying. And then I bring it to the Lord and I look at the word. And what is he saying that I'm capable of? We are capable of being more than we could ever imagine on planet Earth. It really becomes this muscle flexing. Okay. Do you know how many people told me that I was supposed to be all these things? Do you know how many times I've been told I can't do that? That'll never happen. You're not good enough for that. You're not pretty enough for that. You're not strong. I'm really mind-boggling. What I have learned is that we have to start building deep, Christ-centered relationships where we get the truth through wise people. And then we filter it through God. And then we pray, we walk away, we settle in that, and then we hear the true wisdom of God, not what the world is trying to tell us. Because everybody's in a competition. Everybody wants to be the next best. What is the next best? You can have all the accolades on planet Earth, but if you don't have a walk with Christ and you're not humble in that walk, you don't impress me.
I have a story. So as y'all know, my wife does a lot of stuff for Texas Children's Cancer Center, and she always has these, every year at least one big famous person come through. And a couple years ago was Michael Phelps. So she got to spend the day with him, and she got to do this other stuff. And then he spends an hour at this event and he tells everybody it's an interview, fireside chat. And he was talking about, it's the flip of that, which is interesting. After Beijing, after arguably the most incredible athletic performance in the history of modern time, 8 gold medals, the pinnacle of athletic prowess and success, that he felt he had massive depression, was suicidal, like no self-worth, because he felt like he was just somebody who only swam back and forth in a pool. All I did was just swim back and forth in a pool. That's all I did. That's my entire purpose in life, was only that. So it's not only something that people can project on you, it can also be something that you can achieve, just as Jody was saying, these amazing things. You're just a lawyer. You're just some kind of pool. You're just some gal kicking a soccer ball. Like, what else are you? It reminds me of Ecclesiastes, which is the book that brought me to my faith, was you can have all this stuff, and that's great, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't have God in your life. Some element of that.
He's the most decorated Olympian in history, 28 medals.
At the end of all that, he wanted to kill himself. Literally talked about it like he's a big mental health advocate now.
I feel like it's okay to applaud people's successes and perseverance.
Sure.
I don't ever want to undermine. I look at some people that have done some incredible things and I'm like, wow, good for you. That's amazing. Their heart's not in the right place. Sean, you know this. You're in the mental health field. I've done things in the mental health. I've heard stories and testimonies of people that have achieved it all of whatever all means on a societal level, money, fame, all the things. And yet they still wonder what their purpose on planet Earth is. Man, that scares the crap out of me. I'm a singer. Y'all know I'm a singer. I sing on a worship team. I spent years in New York City and recording and performing and all the things. And I thought I was supposed to be the next Celine Dion. I really did. Like, I was being bred for that from my family. And now I'm not. I never will be. And I'm actually very much at peace with it because I'm a child of God and I walk with the Lord, and He gives me beautiful things to do, write books, have podcasts, speak. It's a very incredible spiritual awakening. I really believe that had I gone in a different direction, not knowing God, it could have gone considerably worse. To me, it's not having it all if you don't have a God-centered existence. It's not having it all.
Adria, what do you think of that?
I'm actually getting ready to lead a Bible study. It's called Desperate for Hope. It's a new Bible study that's out. Vanessa Reiser is the author. She wrote in here, knowing we are loved is often interconnected with sensing His presence. As I was reading that, I came up with this little thing of God's presence equals peace. And so if you do not have God's presence in your life, you're not ever going to have peace about who you are, where you've come from, or where you're going. But if you have God's presence right along with you, that is the only way to live, is to have His presence with you. That's why I truly believe that studying God's word and being in it, because I do better when I actually lead a Bible study or participate in a regular Bible study, because it keeps me in the Word and it makes me work a little harder, especially when I'm leading it. I have gotten so much out of this Bible study already, and it hasn't even started yet. I always try to be ahead of the class and try to finish the book before class starts. I do believe that if we will have God's presence in our life, it doesn't matter where you are, where you've come from, because He is all you need and He is going to put you on the path that you need to be on.
I love that you just said that. And in my book coming up, The Air That I Breathe book, I wrote that peace is not the absence of problems, but the presence of God. I think it's critical that people realize that life is going to be with problems. Jesus says it, there will be trials. He didn't say there might be trials or look out, there's a possibility. He said there will be trials, but take heart, I've overcome the world. He can overcome the world. He can overcome our minuscule problems that are first world problems here on planet Earth. That's so beautiful. I love that you said that. You and I have never connected on that. And so it must be a God thing.
The trouble that I'm seeing in young people, and every time I say a statement like that, I always feel like, get off of my lawn, turn down the radio, turn down the music. It makes me sound really old. And I was with our high schoolers. They don't even understand or get what's coming. I can see it because, again, I feel like I'm older now. Man, I just feel old in this moment. When I grew up, kid in the 80s, kid in the 90s, most of my teenage years were in the 90s. I don't think it was this bad. And I don't remember kids struggling with their identity or who they really were or things like that. And I build all that to say, I remember my sophomore year of high school, specifically this moment. And I had an English teacher had me stay after class, privately met her and I remember her name to this day. And I remember her sitting me down and her pulling her chair over to my desk. And she said, listen, Neil, I need to tell you something that nobody's going to tell you. And I'm thinking, wow, this sounds serious. And she said, listen, I know you want to go work for ESPN when you get out of here. That's your goal. You're going to be on SportsCenter. That's your goal. And I said, you're right. It is. I'm going there. I'm getting there. I'm doing my thing. I'm going to get there. You're going to turn on ESPN one day, channel 37, and you're going to see me there. She said, listen, you're not a great writer. You're not a great reader. Terrible at spelling. Pretty good speaker. Your skill set is never going to equate to ESPN. You're never going to be a broadcaster. You're never going to do these things that you think you're going to do. You're only going to maybe barely graduate high school. So let's get real here for a second. Let me just tell you again what no one's going to tell you. You'll be lucky to have a successful career. You're going to struggle your whole life with these things. And the sooner you understand that and the sooner you get that, the better you're going to be. I'm tired of these people filling your head with nonsense that you're not going to do these things. So you need to know it.
I want to slap her. I'm sorry saying that on the podcast. I literally want to slap her. Who is she to give you such terrible advice.
Point in that, Jody, to tell that story. Roughly about a year ago, I was working at an internet store. I was working in retail, not at the Body Shop yet. My freshman year English teacher came in, and we were still wearing masks. I mean, that tells you how long ago it was. We were still wearing masks. She came in, and I just heard her voice. I didn't see her face because, again, the mask thing, but I heard her voice through the mask. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's Jeannie Rasmussen. That's my freshman English teacher. And I went over to her and I said, Miss Rasmussen, I'm really sorry I didn't get my Romeo and Juliet paper turned in. I promise it'll be in tomorrow. And she turned around and probably had the Adria type laugh, just full of just joy and energy. And she just erupted and turned around and gave me the biggest bear hug. And she started weeping, you guys. And she said, oh my gosh, it is so good to see you. Tell me what's going on. And I started telling her about the show, telling her about all the stuff I've been doing, telling her about being married. I probably led with married and then the show, just for Elizabeth's sake. I said to her, I got a moment with her kind of one-on-one after she did her business. I said, you know what? I said, you remember this teacher? She said, oh yeah, we still play golf together every other week. And I said, can you do me a favor? She said, anything, Neil. I would do anything for you. You're one of my favorite students of all time. Reached into my pocket and I grabbed a podcast card out. And I said, can you just give her this? There's a QR code on the back. Can you just encourage her to go listen to this? And she goes, what is this? And I said, it's my podcast. It's what I was just telling you about. She goes, well, I don't know what a podcast is. I'm like, that's okay. She probably does because she's kind of techie. She's like, you're right. She probably is. I said, can you just tell her to go listen to this? I said, specifically the one on March 10th. Would you? Now, back on March 10th, we had two Carolina basketball players, former Carolina basketball players. It was a really sports-driven show, and we didn't do too many of those. I haven't done too many of those. In that moment, I wanted her to see that maybe it's not ESPN. Okay, she got me there. It is a sports broadcasting type show.
I've given out bad advice at some point in my life that maybe I didn't have the right mindset, a center of wisdom, and we'll give her the benefit of the doubt. I think it's just anyone listening, I just want to encourage you that everyone's going to have their insight and their commentary on who you are and what you're going to be, and filter it through the Lord. You were young and it was what it was. I'm so grateful that you persevered. You have 250 podcasts. I'm a podcaster. I have 65 and I drag to get them out because it's all on me. I applaud you.
I wonder about our next generation is how many of them are being told the same exact thing I was told. You're only ever going to be this, or you should only do this, or you know what? You're not this. You should actually go be that. I feel like right now in our nation and even our world, even our states, there is a crisis over our identity and who we're really going to be and who has permission to tell us who we're really going to be.
Lovely dinner with my daughter, my youngest daughter, 17-year-old Abby. Yesterday, we were just having some dinner and we're just talking about her future. She's a senior in high school and trying to troubleshoot what the next steps are. She doesn't feel led to be running after our college right away. She's thinking of taking a gap year and getting some education through a technical college, thinking of all the things she wants to do. And I'm just trying to be that mom that's trying to help give a discerning heart, supportive heart. She's got a gorgeous singing voice. Y'all think I'm good? She's really good. I mean, amazing singing voice. She's been blessed by that gift. It is a gift. Not everybody has it. Everybody can go learn how to play the piano. I looked at her and I'm like, whatever you do, don't forget that beautiful voice that God gave you and use it. I tried. I didn't know the Lord. I tried all the things. It didn't work out. Not contradicting what I said earlier about being Celine Dion, but there's still many things I could have done with my voice. Life got in the way. I was told I needed to get married, settle down, be a wife, all those things. I didn't focus. I didn't allow my voice. And I will tell you, I got a lot of backlash in my life. People saying I was never good enough. You don't know what you want at 12, 15, 18, 25. Your frontal lobe is still evolving when you're like 26. What I'm trying to encourage my daughter, and this goes with all generational kids that are in that millennial, whatever, ennials, utilize the talents that God has given you. Utilize what that is. Find a way to make money doing it so you can wake up every day and have joy and excitement for what you're doing. Because you do have talents. We all have superpowers and beautiful talents that God gives us. Speaking, singing, writing, teaching, educating, doctor, therapy, you name it. We have got talents that we should implement into our lives every day. As Abby kept saying, what if I do this? How much money does this make? What if I do this? How much money does this make? And I'm like, Abby, stop looking for a job that gives you money. Look for something that brings you passion, and there will be money to come with it. God will provide. He always does. Running through all these occupations, it could potentially bring you down someday. You don't need to know what you want to do at 12 and 15 and 18 and 25. No, I'm still figuring it out. And I'm 39.
I'm laughing.
That might be the
because
first lie
she's
we've
really
heard.
38.
Can't lie on this podcast. I think we need to encourage our kids, our young people to, I'm a Jesus girl, center it with the Lord, and then just work it out with him and find your passions and talents and utilize it.
I'm going to piggyback on that,
Yes,
Jody.
please.
I kind of want to go with another little angle of this. Do not tell me that I can't do this, or do not tell me that I have to do this or whatever. So here is my philosophy, and it's always been my philosophy all my life. Tell people, do not ever tell me that I cannot do something, because I will find a way to do it. Okay. It's not that I'm being ornery or anything. You should never tell someone that they can't do something, because you know what? I learn this all the time, that when you are in a difficult situation, when you do have panic or PTSD, which I have, and I didn't think that it would kind of rear its ugly head, but it did recently. I was at church on Sunday a couple weeks ago, and I was crying because my PTSD had kicked in. I realized that I had not stopped and said, God, I need your power to be able to go into this work week to overcome my PTSD. It's been triggered and I need it to settle down. Pulled out the Bible and I read that one scripture about the resurrection power of Jesus. And I said, God, I am going to need your power tomorrow morning as I go to this job. I'm going to need your power to mentally be ready for this, to physically be ready for this. I say all of that with God's power and his direction and his presence in your life. It doesn't matter if somebody says you'll never be able to do that. If he plans and wills for you to do something, he is going to open up the doors, however that may be. It may look a little different than what you think. Instead of telling people you really act like this or identify as that, we really should be telling people God's got a special plan for your life. We don't know what that is. And so you need to be seeking God every day and asking him, okay, what's my purpose today? Not in 10 years. What is my purpose today? I saw yesterday on Facebook, and it is such a common thing anymore. It really kind of bothers me, in that another writer friend, I am an author friend of mine, her 10-year-old son was killed walking to school by a vehicle the other day. And the reason I say this is that so many of my author friends are losing children, and I don't know why. Another friend lost a child. He was at Walmart walking outside and was hit by a car. I don't know why all this stuff happens. There is a purpose in everything that happens. No matter what somebody says to you, you can't do this, you can't do that, you should do this. There is a purpose for your life. And today, not 10 days from now, not 10 years from now, right now, there's a purpose for your life. And I am seeing that played out in my life every day, you all. There is a lady that I met at the gym the other day. She is not a Christian. And guess what? She is joining my Bible study that I'm going to be doing on Zoom in a couple of weeks. I bought her a Bible, and she is so hungry. She knows nothing about the Bible. She does not know any of the basic stories. I had to show her the index of the Bible. And I told my husband, I said, I'm actually kind of nervous in trying to walk with someone who doesn't know anything about the Bible. Jody and Misty were sitting with me the other day when I was sharing this, and Misty said, be your joyful self around her, and she will continue to want to be following you, because she told me that she saw me at the pool a couple of months ago. She just started, and she said she saw me and said, I used to have that happiness and joy that's on her face, and I want that. And so she started seeking me out and wanting to go out to lunch, and that's what we did. And this is last week, y'all. So God has a purpose and a plan today. I was not expecting that day that I went out to lunch with her last week. She said, yeah, I want to do a Bible study with you. Okay, hang on. There is a purpose every day.
5:16, but it says, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father, which is in heaven. You shine such a beautiful light, Adria. Since the day I met you, I just want to encourage you as a sister in Christ that you are well equipped.
Thank you. I am nervous.
You're well equipped, in my opinion. Love you, girl.
So I want to kind of build on what y'all just said, maybe some a little bit more pragmatic and to be practical about it as well. So right now, literally the class I'm taking, so I'm doing my master's degree for clinical mental health counseling, and the class we're doing right now is called career counseling and how we can become that and what we do there. So I think taking into account what y'all are saying, that will help discern, not only for others and even for your daughter, for us as people. I have seen this become actually a profound part of my last 2 years. Part of the identity question you're asking about, Neil, is there's also a perspective on that they have that's different than ours. And we saw a little bit of it, but they really see it. And that is when you see parents, when you see people work in a system that just is like torture and it just sucks the very soul out of them. And it's all for these shiny objects that don't mean anything. Just because you can do something. See, the irony to what Adria is saying is we tell her she can't. Like people will do it just in spite of, in a sense. And you can also do something that you're able to do even though you don't like it. I was an electronics technician in the Navy. I have no passion for electronics, but I can do it really, really well. There's lots of things that I can do and I can do well, but it doesn't mean that it lines up with who I am as a person as well. It's a bit of a slippery slope. Those things that I could do give me the shiny objects for myself. Kids see their parents sacrifice themselves. People see a community sacrifice themselves. They see a country sacrifice themselves for these things and kind of go, well, I don't want to be part of that. So what do I do? And so there's a bit of a retreat in terms of like, well, I don't want to just become an engineer or a doctor because they may make a lot of money. I don't like that. Be super pragmatic and building upon what they're saying. Because then to me, the things that God has given you in terms of those gifts we're talking about, let's not talk about what you should do or what you can't do, but let's talk about what you can. How do you know what you can do? How do you even know what's available in the world from a job standpoint? For somebody like Jody's daughter, I look at my kids and say, it's not just go get a job because you have to have one. It's like you need to understand what that does and what that feels like, what it's like to get up in the morning and have to go do that every day, whatever that job happens to be. And then we also are not taught those things in any kind of context in our system, in our world, and how to even discern what's even feasible. We see YouTubers, athletes, engineers, doctors, some entrepreneur. We hear that word thrown around all the time. No idea what it means. It's going to be successful. Is that really what you want to do? Very beginning of this, it's okay to only be an X. You're seeing this. I'm telling you, in the corporate world, we're seeing this where people are, and companies are actually requiring people to take personality indexes, cultural indexes, not in some sort of judgmental way, but in some sort of discernment way to say, you shouldn't be in sales. I was told that 2 years ago by the company I work for now. I have personally experienced this. They said, Sean, cognitively, there's nothing you can't figure out. We understand that you scored higher than anybody had on any of their tests. Wonderful, great, good job, Sean. Doesn't mean anything. They said, sales, we know you can do it, but we can tell by your personality index that you don't like it. I have 15 years worth of sales experience. What am I going to do at that point? So I've been working in this world that I don't like. I personally did this. To Adria's point, yeah, you can tell me I can't do something and I can go do it. But then you're 12, 15 years down the road of proving somebody wrong and you haven't done anything for yourself.
Can I just say that is so incredibly powerful and very wise to share. So many people do confuse the matters of their occupational heart. And I can tell you, I'm a good decorator. I can put together things and it's beautiful and lovely. I thought I was supposed to do it. I went out, I started a little mini business. I took people out shopping and started picking out paint colors. And I realized I don't like people. In other words, I love people. I love them.
Not in that context.
I get that. The conversations back and forth of what color shade of blue, don't go there, Neil.
Is there another shade?
Put on that wall and people, their minds for walls and paint. And I'm like, nope, Lord, this ain't for me. I'm not a people person like that. The Lord said, nope, that's not for you. You are not a person, sell that kind of thing, because you have to have a certain kind of resistance and backbone to handle them. Like, yep, see you later. So no, sales is definitely not for me either. I could probably sell you anything.
To work in radio, believe it or not. When I say that, people are like, oh, great, you were on air. No, I was not. I was an advertising executive. I worked at this radio station for, I think it was just over a year, probably 16, 18 months, somewhere in there. And I remember just kind of winding down towards the end of that job. And I knew I was probably going to get fired because I wasn't selling enough to warrant being there. Because that's sales. I mean, you just got to sell, always be closing ABCs. And so I came back that afternoon. Station manager sat me down in the conference room and he's like, hey, we're going to let you go. It's time to go. And I was like, okay. So of course I had to clean out my desk. You guys probably can see there's a lot of toys that travel with me at different jobs I've had. And so I am cleaning out my desk and it's taking forever because there's a little knickknacks here and there. And so anyway, I finally get it in the proverbial box and we're doing the perp walk, if you will, out of the building. And we get to my car and he's helping me with stuff. He's being very gracious. And he says, hey, Neil, do you got a second? Thinking, I got all the time in the world. I'm looking for a job. So yeah, go ahead, Mr. Station Manager. And he says, man, I don't know how to tell you this. You are a horrible salesperson. You're absolutely awful at it. I just want to encourage you, the next job you take, and there will be a next job because you have other talents, just not this. The next job you take, can I just encourage you not to go into sales because you are awful at it.
Yeah.
Have a great day. Puts my stuff in and shuts the door. And so I was like, man, okay, yeah. I always thought I was pretty good at sales. My mom's joked, I can sell snow to an Eskimo in the middle of winter and tell him to buy it. Kind of wired that way. Gift of gab. Elizabeth, try lick my wounds a moment. She goes, okay, it's time to go get a job. What are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I said, I think I'm going to start at the mall. They're always looking for people there. And so I go into Macy's of all places for a job. Nice shirt, dress shirt, tie, slacks, got a sports coat on, looking good, like a politician. Lo and behold, somebody says, hey, are you here for the job interview? No, I actually just applied in the back and I was kind of waiting to talk to somebody. She's like, well, I'll talk to you. Come on, come back with me. So I was like, okay. And she introduces herself and I sit down and we start talking and she says, so what have you done? What kind of things have you done? I said, well, I've done a lot of sales, but I've been told recently I'm not very good at it. And she goes, let me talk to our salespeople, see if we have any openings. You're interested in working here? I said, yep, I am. And she said, okay, just give me like 5 minutes. Just go out that door that we came in and I'll come get you in a few minutes, see if we have any openings. I'm like, great, sounds awesome. So I go out there and I'm just wandering around the men's department in the suits area. And lo and behold, people come up to me thinking I worked there. And so I'm like showing them ties. I'm showing them dress shirts. Hey, I'd probably get this. And, I'm just kind of playing the role. And so I didn't know this, but they were watching me on the camera. I still to this day think that they planned it or tried to job shadow me to see what I would do. Call me back and they said, hey, we really like what you did there. Why were you doing that? And I was like, well, I don't know. I just wanted to help. And that's kind of my heart. And I just like helping people. She goes, can you start today? Like, we'd really like to hire you. And I was like, well, again, I'm not very good at sales. She goes, I don't think that's true. 3 months later, I'm the number one guy in suits selling. Okay. 3 months later.
Awesome.
And the record-setting sale that I hit, you know who I rang up? That old station manager. He came in to buy some dress shirts.
That's too funny.
You actually kidding.
I said, hey, Mr. Station Manager, it's so good to see you. He goes, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm in sales, not very good at it. I'm like the seventh guy, and the gal that was standing next to you, she goes, seventh guy? Didn't you just win like this thing the other day, this contest for being the number one guy? I was like, no, stop it. Is sometimes you have to set aside the noise. Kevin Durant, and I know you guys aren't big sports fans. Sean sort of is.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry, Syracuse. He didn't go to Syracuse, Jody. He went to Texas. A while back, he put out on Twitter, he says, sometimes you have to eliminate the noise from your life and focus on you. And I thought, man, that sounds selfish in some levels. At the same time, I think sometimes we have to focus on ourselves as a person. There is so much noise coming in at us and realize that that noise really is just getting in the way of who we really should be. And I love one of you guys said, I can't remember who, really consider the source of who you're getting that you're only from. Where is that filter coming from? Any profound to add as far as your only final thought on that?
Wrap up what I said before about my company. They told me I wasn't good for sales, and that was the job I applied for. And I've been working for them for the last 2 years. What they did do is they said, Sean, we aren't going to give you that job because it doesn't line up. It's not a personal interpretation. That person's interpretation of you being a bad salesperson was their thought on it. It didn't mean you couldn't do it or you weren't capable or it didn't line up with your personality. And they said, Sean, we know this doesn't, so we're not going to even try. But we do want you to work for us. And we do have a job we think that does line up. And they were right. So I mean that for the last 2 years.
I was a struggling actress and singer. I used to always get jobs as a waitress and they'd always demote me to hostess.
The hostess with the mostest.
The hostess all the time. It's hysterical. And I think that those people, those managers of the restaurants knew very well. This girl cannot hold a tray without crashing it down. She's forgetting the orders. She's messing them up, but she's got a great smile. Put her in the front. It's like, but I'm not making any money up here. Definitely knew that that was not my superpower.
Where can folks go to best connect with the three of you? What is something that you really are like, hey, this is my lane that I'm in right at this moment, and maybe a way for someone to really connect with you on a deeper level, or if they want to go listen to past episodes, I'm going to link all three of our episodes together in the show notes. They want to know more about your story or more about who you are. What's one way?
I'm asking everyone just to kind of follow me on Instagram. It's Jody M. Howe, JODIMHOWE. On Facebook, they're public profiles, and that's when my book launches in a few weeks. It's when I'm going to advertise on that.
Great. Thanks, Jody. Adria, how about you?
They can go to my website adriawilkins.com, ADRIAWILKINS.com. They can find out all the information of my book that came out in 2019. I do have a podcast, but I haven't been putting out anything on there for the summer. There's still, I don't know how many episodes I have, around 60. I have done some speaking and also offer some workshops on journaling and doodling if anybody is interested in that. And then also they can find my email and newsletters on there, what I've been doing the past month. Follow up in any of those fashions. Mainly it's all on my website. Thank you.
Absolutely. Sean, I know you're the man of mystery.
Yeah, the only social media I'm on is LinkedIn, but I will say that I do have a podcast coming out this month sometime. It's called Empowering Mental Health. It's going to be about just that in general. So that may be a way to grab me. So Sean.McCoy@oggn.com. Probably be a good way to get a hold of me that way.
Nice. And they're not coming to the table any longer?
They are. It's just a different way of doing it. Yeah.
Triangle table?
Well, no. So I have an educational episode, but then every once in a while I throw in what we call an empowering. What I came up
there
with.
It is. All
So
right.
I sit with a person. There's 7 questions about their mental health journey and something specific that they went to. And I got, so sports reference, there's a chance Jeff Bagwell may be my 3rd or 2nd person to interview, to hear from somebody, a normal person, if you will, or even a powerful person who went to get treatment and why, and try and normalize it and make it just something like we do for anything else. You don't get upset if somebody ever going to the gym. Like, why are you doing that for your body? Are you crazy? Why are you lifting weights to get stronger? Why are you exercising? But if somebody goes to therapy, it's like, something wrong with you? We need to normalize it.
We need to lower the stigma. Thank you for doing that.
I went through that recently too. Wrapped up therapy actually 3-4 weeks ago. In that process, when I was telling people I was going every Tuesday to therapy, they would kind of look at me, you need therapy? Yeah, a lot of child trauma. Yes, I did. And it was weird. People would really not make me feel bad, but I would feel bad in telling people that. And I even had people at church saying, you don't need therapy. You just need Jesus. You need more Jesus. And I'm like, stop it.
Okay, y'all got to check out my book that comes out in a few weeks called The Air That I Breathe. I hit that point big time. In fact, the beginning of the book, I say, anxiety is not a prayed away kind of debilitation. And I'm going to leave it at that. And then I will tell you why in several pages from my heart and my experience and my testimony and my walk, why it's not just about praying it away. God gave us many opportunities on planet Earth. He gave us vessels, brains, people, fellowship, ways to walk through hard situations and health concerns. Enough of that.
And Sean, thank you. I'm glad that you're walking in the arena of mental health. I think so many people for so long have struggled and been told and whatever have thought that they need to be these things. And I think it takes a great person to be able to sift through all that and say, no, you're more than that. And I think you're equipped for that. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it's our game Senseless. Now, here's the thing is usually we just roll the dice and let the die picks the number. I'm going to just make all 3 of these people who I love so much and just value so much answer all 6 questions. So here we go in rapid fire. Raise your hand when you have your answer ready. Here's question number 1. One place I need to visit. Now that could be in the next year. How you interpret that? One place you need to visit before it's all said and done. Jody with the first answer. Yes, Jody.
Cary, North Carolina.
Oh, sorry. You're interpreting that as I need to visit these places. This is your answer, not my answer.
Oh, I thought it was, okay, you didn't post it.
Yeah,
that
sorry. So for you,
way. Or do I need to visit?
yes,
And
one
then-
place.
I was with you, Jody. I was going to tell him where you need to go with it.
You could make it my answers. Let's make it that way. All right. So I need to visit Cary. That's fine. All right. I love it. All right. Let's make these what I should answer. We'll make the twist on that. Jody, so you're saying I need to visit Cary.
You need to visit Cary, and where I want to go is Italy. And I think I'm going to go there next summer. So that would make it a year past summer.
So perfect. So we'll make it what I need to do and then what your answer is. I like that. We'll add that to the twist. All right. So here we go. So I need to visit Cary, Sean, or Adria. You guys are next. Who's got their answers? So again, my answer should be, and then your answer. Go ahead, Adria.
Neil, you should go to the gym. I just had to say something funny. I don't know. I'm just saying that. And then,
Wow, that's hurtful.
I need to visit North Carolina in November.
There
Yes,
you go.
Cary.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Sean, what do you got?
Yeah, because I was thinking much more of a place, like I was trying to think of a place, and it's hard having traveled quite a bit. I think the one that comes to mind is Petra, Jordan. I would encourage you to visit there, mainly because when you do travel, and this is just a travel tip that I always try to give people if they go international, the number one thing you should do when you travel, no matter where you go, is leave the place that you're coming from there. And when you go there, we go to some places and we expect everything to be like it is back home. Cultures and sentiment and the way they do things. In Europe, if you ask for ice, they're going to give you an ice cube in your drink. And down here in Texas, like my wife, that's her love language is ice. And I want to take her to Paris. When we do, she's got to remember that she's not in Texas anymore. She's not in the U.S. So I would say Petra Jordan because it's so different and unique. And there's so much there that you can kind of literally glean from the very rocks and the people that were there. Not for any super significant historical reason other than it was an old Nabatean town that was this part of the salt route between northern Africa and Europe and Asia. And it was this metropolis forever. And it has these big water tanks. And that's all great. But just to think of the people that were there and because it's so different than what we're used to. We think Aruba, Tahiti, we think Bora Bora, we think California. It doesn't have to be, visual's nice, but it doesn't have to be. So I'd recommend going someplace like that that is different, that can challenge you.
I'm kind of afraid to go there because apparently they don't have ice.
Not in Europe, not in the Middle East. They have these big blocks of ice in the Middle East. Yeah, it's a different way of doing things for sure. And where I want to go is going to be, Australia, because I haven't been there.
Well, we're going to Bahamas in December. We're taking a cruise. Whole family right before Christmas. 2 people I need to hug and you need to hug.
Just say the group is one. I'll just give it one answer. In terms of who needs to hug and who we need to hug. I'll put that for both. And then I would say who I need to hug is my youngest because she just got over COVID for 5 days.
Aww.
So we haven't been able to really, I slept in the next room next to her and also so I need to go give her a hug. Always need to go hug your wife, buddy. Go give her a hug. Be the other one.
Ladies?
I'm not Jody.
I've already hugged Adria. I'm saying this for you, Neil. I've already hugged Adria. Last week I hugged her and I'm going to hug her again. I have a feeling I'm going to be able to hug you on a brother-sister level with Adria in the presence because she's going to hug you. And wait till you get an Adria hug because it's freaking awesome. And Sean, is there any chance I can hug you at the end of September? Because I will be in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
So you need to bring your wife. I will be hosting Park Media Ignite Conference, Houston, Texas. I'm giving her a little plug here, September 28th.
Yeah, for sure.
Through the first. On my birthday, I will be flying home. On my little birthday. Anyway, so yes, you need to hug. I need to hug all these people. And Neil, I think you're going to be able to hug Adria pretty soon. How cool is that? And me.
Adria, did you have anything?
Let's see. I would say, it would be great to get to hug Sean and Neil one day, and maybe it comes sooner than later. Neil, I would say hug your daughter twice. She's going to grow up here soon. She's already growing up. She's going to be out of the house. So give her lots of hugs.
2 years left. Yeah, she's in her junior year of high school. So she's a year behind Jody's youngest. She's already driving. Here we go. 3 songs that you love and then 3 songs that you think I love. This should be fun.
It's like a kid in a candy store when you ask me a question like that. But I put worship songs in my book and my publisher was like, you need to do worship songs in there. I'm like, do you understand the question you're asking me? I have 60,000 songs in my heart. I'm a musician. I don't even know where to narrow it down. I'm going to narrow it down to one here right now. You, Neil, I'm supposed to tell you what you like first. Let me tell you what I like. Number 1, I still, to this day, even though I'm a believer and I love worship music, I think Don't Stop Believing by Journey is the best song ever written on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And it's just my favorite song. When it comes on, it's like, it's it. It's time to dance and just feel inspired. Gosh. I don't know what to tell you guys. I love worship music. I really, really do because I want to get centered with Christ. So I'm going to say Believe For It by CeCe Winans. That song has been like an anthem song for me. And then you know what? I'm going to stick with CeCe. I'm going to say Goodness of God. I don't know about 3 songs, friend. I say those 3 songs for you.
I'm not a big CeCe fan. Nothing against her. All right, who's next? Sean or Adria? Rock, paper, scissors?
I'm going to be quick. Here are 3 songs you should listen to. One is called Fight Blue Devils. The other one's called Dear Old Duke. And then one's actually called Blue and White. Which apparently, according to the GoDuke.com website, are like the 3 fight songs for Duke University. So I would say you need to listen to those.
Oh, I hate you in this moment. So clever. On the fly. So clever.
I mean, come on. Which one should you listen to? Taken literally.
Yeah.
The recent ones, I'm like Jody, Songs Forever. The Head and the Heart has a song called Another Story, which a friend of mine got me into. Brandy Carlisle has a song called The Things I Regret, which I really like. And then there is a song by a guy named Noah Anderson called Atlantis, which is find interesting. So those are the 3 that I like right now.
Adria, last but certainly not least.
That is such a hard question. I was trying to think of the song that I really like right now on K-Love, but I can't think of it, but it's a Christian song. And then I always have on my playlist Grateful Song by Elevation Worship. I really like that song about being grateful. I would say just for fun, song for you, Neil, would be Born to Be Wild. And And then we need to get Sean on that because he's so laid back. He needs to be born to be wild.
I just picture Sean one day dressing up like Andy from The Office when he was the George Michael for Halloween. I don't know why, but that's what I picture.
Flip the script.
Who would play you in your life story? So who would play you, and then who would play me in my life story?
Dang, those are good questions.
Like Nicolas Cage would play you.
Nicolas Cage?
That's a good one.
All right.
That is a good one. Dang.
Yeah.
That's a touchy question.
There's like range of motion in terms of how he is emotionally, and just the way how he could play you on the high end, the low end.
All right. Nicolas Cage. All right. So who plays you, Sean?
Will Ferrell. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely not Will Ferrell.
So Rory thinks I look like Will Ferrell and sound like Will Ferrell.
Daniel Day-Lewis. I'll say that.
I could see that.
That's a good one.
So Adria, who plays you and who plays me?
I have no idea. I'm going to pass.
Ooh. All right. There's a pass. I guess.
I'm blank.
Say Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell.
There you go.
Are you passing? Because I do have an answer.
I'm done.
I'm going to say Steve Carell plays you. Did I call it? Is that great?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Pretty good.
He can play a dork who has really bad taste in NCAA sports. And me, everybody always says that I'm not a fan of her politics, whatever. Deborah Messing from Will and Grace. Everybody says I look like her, so I'm sure she
Yeah, for sure. I could see that.
have to be not Hollywood and Jesus. And I don't know if she can call that into her actor spirit and do all the method crap that they have to do. So good luck.
A lot of people have been saying Anne Hathaway. Like past guests have been saying Anne Hathaway, who they would like to play them in their story. All right. So mom and dad need to hear this. So my mom and dad need to hear this from me, and then your mom and dad need to hear this from you.
Let me go really quick because I'm going to say that. Stop being liberals. Ooh, did I just hit a nerve? Probably. Yeah, okay, I'm not a liberal.
All right. So that's what your parents need to hear from you.
Stop voting the way you're voting. It ain't working.
So what do my parents need to hear from me?
That they did a really great job
Oh.
raising you.
Adria, what do your parents need to hear from you?
Just, I love you. Time is short. And then what do your parents need to hear?
Yes.
Your parents need to know that you may have been wild when you were younger, but you have continued to seek after God. Even though you may have had some struggles and stumbled along the way, you've continued to pattern your life after God and to really try to pull in close to Him. And so they need to be proud that you have made that decision, because so many kids today fall away and don't try to pursue God.
Mr. Sean.
If they want to know who you are in your essence, if they want to get to know you as a person, if they want to know what makes you tick, if they genuinely have an interest in you, and that's like a challenging question. What makes Neil tick? I would encourage them to listen to your episodes and listen to you as the host in your voice and who you are and what you are.
Yeah.
That will tell them a lot about you. If that's of interest, I would start there. Know who your son is and understand what drives him. I would encourage that.
And then what do your parents need to hear, Sean?
I don't know if we have, that's a whole other episode.
I know that. If you could make it in a nutshell somehow.
That would be a great episode.
In a nutshell. Oh, I never wanted to be the golden boy. I didn't ask for it. That's what I would tell my parents.
I had a feeling. All right. Last but certainly not least, question number 6. Coffee or tea?
Go ahead and get this out of the way. Tea / Diet Coke.
I truly love them both equally. I can tell you anything you want to know about loose leaf tea, multiple different kinds of it, all the different parts about it, and I love coffee as well. I really am dead nuts down the middle on that one.
Jody?
Yeah, I double shot on that. I love them both, really. I have to have coffee in the morning, but I don't drink it all day. I drink tea, but I know you drink coffee.
I do. Guy and gals, I want to say thank you all three for doing this. I know it was tough getting everybody's schedules together and everybody on the same page. And again, I just want to say thank you to all three of you for being here today and making this 250th episode amazing. I don't know if anyone enjoyed it as much as we did. As someone once said to me, I think he's actually on this call. Sometimes the episode may be just for you. Wow. I don't know what to say with that. When you get 4 friends together, that's kind of what happens. You get chaos. I never realized that I would get so emotional in sitting with these 3 people today. My heart is full. When I look at the map right now as I speak these words to you and I see the impact that 250 episodes has brought to me and maybe even brought to you, I can't help but get a little emotional because I just think of all the shoes we've walked in, all the experiences, all the heartache, all the challenges, all the trials, all the victories, all the authors, all the books, all the speakers. And so I want to challenge you today as we get out of here. Here's my challenge. What are you doing? That's it. It's simple. What are you doing? I've taken this challenge seriously. I haven't missed a show in almost 5 years. Every Wednesday, I've had a show of some sort or another, and I haven't missed. So what are you going to do? What baton will you take from me to keep this conversation going of walking in other people's shoes? How are you doing that? Let me know how you're going to take that challenge. How are you going to walk in someone else's shoes this week? Because I really want to know. You can let me know at the website, opspodcast.com is a great place to let me know. You can let us know on the socials at OPS Podcast Show on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, of course. Don't forget this. Remember, when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do get a different perspective on life. I want to thank my 3 guests, my 3 amazing friends. And don't forget this either. Remember, next week, we'll be right back here as we walk in other people's shoes.